Now, when you check into a hotel, do you ever consider what the staff might think about you?
Yeah, do they make assumptions about who you are, or maybe why you're there, what you're wearing, all those sorts of things?
Mostly it isn't a problem, but for LGBT travellers that could at best mean an awkward conversation about sharing a double room, at worst being asked to leave the hotel.
But you can see it there, LGBT travellers representing 8% of a market that's worth $2.5 trillion. That's about $200 billion, despite LGBT travellers accounting for just 2.6% of the population.
So it is big business, and for firms who want to actively attract these kind of travellers, it's a really huge opportunity.
But all too often, travel companies and hotels see the word couple to mean only a heterosexual pairing.
And so after facing discrimination himself, our next guest founded the LGBT travel agency Out of Office. It specialises in finding gay, inclusive holiday destinations and accommodation around the world.
Well, really pleased to say Darren Burn is with us now. He's the founder of Out of Office. Darren, nice to see you.
Welcome.
To the programme. I suppose we should sort of start at the beginning about coming up with this idea, because you had a very different career in a past life, and then you set up this travel agency. Why? What was the sort of impetus for doing so?
That's right. Actually, I was a journalist like you guys for a rival network before, but I had a really bad experience travelling myself. My then partner and I went to Egypt, and we were refused entry to a hotel. They wouldn't let us stay there, and I just thought there's a huge problem here that needs addressing, and it needs addressing in a sensible way, because no one had ever properly looked at the LGBT market, particularly in the luxury sphere.
Why did you choose to do that then?
I wanted a challenge, I guess, and it is a challenge. You know, there are still 70 countries where it's illegal to be gay. India, obviously, last week decriminalised homosexuality, which is great news, a massive population there. But there are still too many countries where it's illegal to be gay, and actually we've got a job to do until that is, you know, no longer the case worldwide. And
there are sort of two issues here, aren't there? One about criminality, of course, so that India decision very welcome and clearly opening up India to more travellers, one would assume. But even in countries where it's not illegal, you're still potentially going to face discrimination checking into a hotel. And I'm thinking, you know, to use an obvious example, some southern states in the United States, you might not feel so welcome.
Correct, that's right. And we vet all the hotels that we work with, so we make sure that you will get a double bed, you will get a welcome at reception. And we actually ask hotels how they train their staff. How do they actually make sure that when a gay couple does check in or a lesbian couple checks in, that they will be welcome and they won't have any issues and won't face discrimination. And
some of the numbers, speak for themselves that we outlined in our introduction to you, i.e. the potential of this market is massive. But you saw that straight away, didn't you, when you launched? I mean, just 3 months in, you saw a huge surge in demand for what you were providing. I mean, how did you respond to that? Did you anticipate that? We didn't anticipate it, actually, and we had to firefight on a lot of occasions to service that demand. But there is demand. You know, the UK market alone is worth £6 billion in terms of travel. The global market, as you saw, upwards of 200 billion. And actually, that 2.6% of the population figure you saw is very conservative. Most people estimate it to be between 8 and 10% because of the people that haven't yet come out or haven't yet identified as LGBT on a survey or on a census.
On a practical level, talk us through how hotels can be gay-friendly, because there's one thing saying, yeah, we don't have a problem with it, you can come and stay, but there's a very different thing, isn't there, if it's about actively being welcoming, accepting, and just very small things on a day-to-day basis that might make a big difference.
That's right, you have to practice what you preach. So I always, when I talk to a hotel or a tourist board, say, have you got an image of a same-sex couple in your hotel? And guess what, most of them don't. And it's just the really basic things. So it's making sure that your staff are trained, that your LGBT employees are also empowered to be part of that community, and also make sure that they are, you know, showcasing what they do in their day-to-day job, because it's a much more authentic message then. And I as an LGBT traveller, would certainly much more benefit from going to a place that has that inclusion.
So how much prejudice do you come across? Is it getting better?
It is getting better, but there's still a long way to go. So, for example, places like the Maldives, where it's illegal to be gay, the properties that we work with there offer honeymoon benefits to same-sex couples. Now, that's you know, unusual, but great that we can do that, and great that we can make those inroads, but there is still a long way to go.
Darren, it's really lovely to see you. We could talk a lot more about this, but congratulations on getting so far, of course, and big upswing in business. So, yeah, come and see us soon. All right, nice to see you. Thanks very much.